Yo, what's up everybody, and welcome to the 7th Java tutorial. Today's tutorial, we are going to be talking about the scanner, and I'll introduce that to you. The scanner is a built-in class in Java, and it's used to get input from the user. And we're going to be using it to get input from the keyboard in this. And in today's program, we're going to be writing a program that's used to figure out the BMI of a person, which is the body mass index. So the first thing we're going to do is import two things. We're going to import the Java text, the decimal format, and then the scanner. So in order to use the scanner, you need to import it, and then also to format, which you'll see later in the program, you're going to want to import it. So just type this, import java.text decimal format, and then import java.util.scanner. So that's going to pull in the decimal format class, and then we'll create an object later so we can use that. And then we also imported the scanner class so we can use that later. If you don't import it, you can't use it. It's a way to save memory. Another way, like if you wanted to pull all utility, because when in the Java library, it's separated like Java, and then they have util, and then util has a bunch of different things, and then scanner is one of them. And also in the text library, there's a bunch of different things, and then also, but we only want the decimal format. But let's say import, we wanted to pull everything out of the Java util. So what you do is you put the dot star, so that would pull everything out of the Java util library. But anyways, we just want scanner, but that's a good way just to pull everything. All right, let's get started on the program. So number one, we want to create a scanner object. So we're going to call scanner, and then we put the name of the object right here, and you can call it whatever you want. I'm going to call it keyboard. That's usually what I like to call it because it's obvious. I'm using the scanner for the keyboard. And then what you do is create a new instance of the scanner class. That's what this is. And then within the parameters of your scanner class, it's going to be system.in, and that's just saying that you're taking input. So it's scanner keyboard, which is the object name, equals new scanner system.in. All right, now we can create some variables. So let me put this down first. So the equation for the body mass index is, I found it earlier, it's going to be right here, and we'll just comment that out. So BMI equals weight in pounds times 703, which is a constant, and then height in inches or divided by the height in inches times height. Height in inches times, yeah, so height in inches squared, basically. All right, so let's get our variables. So we're gonna have integer variables, and we're going to need feet, inches, and then we need something to hold the total amount. So we'll say total height in inches. That's kind of long, but I mean, with some variables, it's better to be exact because I wouldn't want to get these confused. This is the total height in inches. This is just how many feet and how many inches. All right, so those are integers, so those are going to be whole numbers. Next, we're going to need some double variables, so they have a decimal, and we'll do total BMI, and we will do weight. And the reason we're going to do double is because those are going to have like a decimal. Those are going to have a decimal. They're not going to be a whole number, because this could be 20.5 for the total BMI, or your weight might be, I don't know, 150 5.78 pounds. So you want to have a double for that. Otherwise, you're going to lose accuracy if you just have integers. And then also, we're going to need our constant, which is this right here, for the amount we multiply the weight. So in order to create a constant, we're going to put final, which means that this variable isn't going to change throughout the program. Final, it's the final amount. It does not change. It's a constant. So it's going to be an int variable, and then we will call it BMI, and do all caps, constant value. And we'll set that to 703. All right. So for this, it's a final. It's an integer because it's a whole number. And when we have constants, we do uppercase and then separate the words with underscores instead of camel casing. Hope that makes sense. All right, so now we have all of our variables made. Now we're going to go ahead and ask the user some questions to get some information. Now we're going to use the scanner. All right, so let's write a question to the user. So system.out.print, and in here we're going to put, what is your weight? Question mark. Now you don't do print line, and the reason is when you're getting input from the user, if you do print line, and this will make sense later, but if you do print line, it automatically breaks a line after it outputs this. So your input is going to be on the next line instead of this one. And we want to answer that question on the same line that the question was asked on. All right. So system.out.print, what is your weight? And then this is where we're going to set the weight variable. Weight equals, and this, so we have our scanner object, which is keyboard. So we're going to call that object keyboard, and then this is what you do, is you do dot next int. And what that's telling them is set the variable weight to keyboard dot next int. So what the computer is going to do is when it goes to this line right here, it's going to wait for input. It's going to output this and then wait for input. So, and it's specifically going to wait for an integer. Okay, so the next thing we're going to need is the height. We already have the weight, so we need the height. Now, for that, we're going to system.out.print, and we're going to put, and on this one we're going to use print line because, well, you'll see, but we want it to break down a line. So we're going to put, what is your height? And the reason we want to do the print line is because right underneath it, we're going to put, because we're getting feet separate from inches, right? So system.out.print, and we're going to put feet. And I'm just going to put a colon in a space just to make it look nice. And then we're going to set our feet variable. Feet equals, we're going to pull on our object again, keyboard dot next int. And then now we need the inches. So I'm going to sys out, system.out, and we are going to get inches now. Let's scroll that down. And we're going to set this variable inches using the keyboard again. So each time we use this, it waits for the user to enter. So we're going to go total height in inches Hope that's what it was. Yep. Another thing that's helpful is you see that when I have this highlighted, it's going to highlight this as well. So it shows me that they match. All right, so we're going to put total height in inches, and we are going to set that to feet times 12, because like say it's 5 feet, so that would be 5 times 12, so this would be 60. And then we're going to add how many inches they put. So if it was 5 foot 5, so it'd be 5 times 12, which is 60, plus 5. So total height in inches would be 65. All right. So now we're gonna use our equation for the BMI. So our total BMI, and remember it's the equation up here, weight in pounds times 703 divided by height in inches squared. So the first thing we're going to set our total BMI to is weight, and we're going to multiply that by our constant, which is BMI underscore constant underscore value. So that would be whatever weight they inputted times this constant value, which is 703. And then we're going to divide that by, and we're going to use a class. We're going to use the math class. So this is math.pow, which is whenever you want to use it for exponents. And you do your base basically. So if you wanted 2 squared, you would be your base of 2 and then your exponent. If you wanted 2 cubed, you would do 2 for A and 3 for B. So right here we want to do total height in inches, and then since we're multiplying it by itself, that's just squaring it, so we're going to put 2. Alright, and then a semicolon after that. Now, for formatting it, this is why we pulled that decimal format up here, imported that. As you can see, it has the yellow, so it means that we haven't used it. So let's use it. So you're going to do the same thing that you did with scanner. You're going to call that class, and it's called decimal format. You name it. You name your object. We're going to call it just FMT for short for format. And we'll do the same thing as scanner, set it to new decimal format. And then in the parentheses, you're going to do quotations, and then you do 0 point, and then however many spaces you want following that decimal. So I want 2, but if you wanted like 4 places after the decimal, it's like, so right now it'd be like 0.12, but if we wanted 4 places, you could do 0.1234. It'll round it off at that 4th decimal place, but we want 2 for this. Oops. All right, and then I'll show you how to use it. But now that we have it all set, we want to output whatever our result is. So we're going to sysout system.out.println, and this is where we're going to put our output. So we're going to put your current BMI is, and then see, we're going to concatenate it with something, but you'll see the quotations. So we're going to output whatever this string is. So right now the string is your current BMI is colon space, and we're going to concatenate it with, you're going to call the format object that we did, and you'll see right here, it shows you what you can use. So depending on if we were using a double, a long, an object. So we want to just do a double argument because that's, a double is anything with a decimal, right? So there you go. And in here, we're going to call our total BMI. So what this should do, it's going to ask for variables. It's going to ask for weight. It's going to set that with the keyboard. It's going to ask for height, and it's going to set the feet in inches. And then we're going to convert the total height in inches with this simple equation. And then we are going to find out the total BMI with this equation up here, which is up here in the comment. And then after we figure that out, we're going to format it, and then we're going to output it. So let's go ahead and run this. All right, it says, what is your weight? Okay, so currently I just weighed myself, I'm 167. Press enter. What is your height? And then see, it says in feet. We're gonna put 5 feet. In inches, I'm 5'9". And then right there, boom. Your current BMI is 24.66. I don't think that's very good, but that's my current BMI according to science. So go over it one more time just to show you, just in case you didn't get it. But so we imported java.text decimal format. We imported that so we could use the built-in class, which is the decimal format class. We also are going to use the scanner class, so we had to import it. We have our class name BMI. Oof. Sorry about that. We have our class name BMI, and then we have our main method. Right here, we created our scanner object, and we called it keyboard. You need to have this exactly like this whenever you're going to use the scanner object. Right here's our equation, and then we created all of our variables. We're going to have the integer variable, and since we had more than one integer variable, we just created them on the same line instead of doing multiple lines. You separate them with commas just like that. So feet, comma, inches, total height in inches. We have some double variables, so they're going to have decimals, and that's going to be our total BMI, because as you can see down here, that's a decimal, 24.66. And weight. If I wanted to be perfectly exact with weight, I could have put like 167.5 or whatever. So for our final integer, it's a constant value, and we called it obviously BMI constant value, all uppercase with underscores separating the words, and we set that to 703 because that's what it is in the equation. All right, so we output it to the screen, system.out.print, what is your weight? And then we had the computer wait on an integer. See, so we set the variable, we assigned, that's what the equal is, we assigned the variable of weight to keyboard.nextInt. So the computer was waiting for input from the keyboard, and to be specific, an integer from the keyboard. And then after we got that, now that's set, we are going to output the print line, which is what is your weight down here, and we wanted feet, and then we wanted inches, and then after that we had to convert to figure out the total height in inches because that's in the equation. And then for our equation to figure out what the BMI is, we took the total BMI and set it to weight times the constant value, all divided by, and we use the math power function right here. So how you use the math power function is math.pow, and you have to have a capital M. And then within the parameters, your first parameter is going to be your base, and then your second parameter is going to be the exponent, whether you want to square it or cube it to the 5th, 6th. So And then, so next in order to format it and make it look better, we did decimal format and then created an object. And then over here, we set it to how many decimals we wanted. So we could do as many or one, and then finally, we outputted to the screen your current BMI is as a string, and then concatenated it with, just so you know, if we were to run this without formatting it, so basically, here, I'll copy this and show you what it is if we don't format it. Comment this out. So this was what it would look like if we didn't format it. Because right now, see, it was 24.66. So what is your weight? 167. What was your height? Still 5'9". And see, now it's 24.6588889, you know, so it's just going to continue until it runs out. So, or basically runs out of memory for the double. So that's why we want to format it. That looks a lot better like this. What was your weight? 167.59. Much better, right? Alright, that pretty much wraps it up for this video. I appreciate all of you for watching, and I will see you in the next tutorial.